Okay. So, one of the most important aspects of time blocks is that it allows you to concentrate your energy on very specific skill sets. Now, as entrepreneurs, you're always going to wear many hats, right? You're always going to be in decision mode, creativity mode, collection mode, or, you're hunting or you're gathering. You're doing so many different things. Now, how the mind works is that it actually doesn't work with many different skill sets at the same time, which is the reason why a lot of people end up feeling anxious and they end up in overwhelm. It's because they consider everything that they have to do any given day and they don't know where to start. Now, this is what works best is if you decide how you're going to create your time blocks based on what you must concentrate on. Let's start with that. What are the parts that you absolutely must concentrate on? And for the rest of them, we're just going to put them under the delegation, a box called delegation. So if you have paper and pen, this is what I need you to write down and understand. Your main principal objective in life is going to be marketing and selling. A lot of people avoid those words because there's a lot of fear around that, plus a lot of I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do. And they want to automate that. They want to automate the marketing and the selling. Now, the thing about automation is that you can't automate what you haven't proven. So what I find, and I'm sure Craig, you can agree with this, is a lot of people will go out and they'll set up systems and they'll set up automations, but they haven't actually tested these different theories out. They haven't really built up a funnel that would prove successful with their automation. So they end up with all this machinery and all these systems. Nobody's going through them, nobody's buying, and then they're wondering, what's going on, and then they blame it on the industry, or they say it's just not something that I was meant to do. Do you find that?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, yeah. So, when we say marketing and selling, this is your primary job. When you look at what it is that you want to sell, so when we say real estate, I'm assuming we're looking at commercial or, personal developments, e-commerce. When you look at that, look at the primary thing that you need to sell, the primary thing that's going to bring you the most amount of money out of everything that you can sell. And this is what you're going to automate. This is what you're going to automate. So when we talk about automating this, what it means is that literally putting time blocks in your calendar. Now, for people who've never done this before, I usually suggest that you start with half-hour blocks. So what you say is that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as an example, every morning, half an hour from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., I'm going to focus specifically on getting the people who will give me the most amount of money. And that's the focus, and that's the focus only. It means that you turn on an alarm and you turn off everything else. You're not responding to emails, you're not picking up calls, you're not doing any of that. You're simply focusing on getting your high value clients. In the very beginning, this is going to be difficult because you're going to sit there and you're going to wonder, who do I contact? What do I say? So you're going to waste a lot of time. Now, I want you to remember that this is a skill. You don't just get into time blocks just like that, just because you decided to. Back in the day, you had to go to school because you had to, but there were people around you who made sure that you went to school, parents or guardians. And then in school, they took down names. So you were kind of forced to do these things. As an entrepreneur or a business owner or someone who wants to start a business, you are your own guardian. You are your own accountability person. So in the very beginning, you're going to have a lot of massive resistance to doing this exercise. What I want you to remember is that it's going to take practice. So for those first 30-minute blocks, you probably will go through hell because you'll sit there and you'll waste a lot of time. And the 30 minutes will come up and you won't even know what you did. A lot of other people, they start off in a slump, and then toward the end of the 30 minutes, they start to pick up steam and they want to keep going. I'll caution you not to keep going. The idea here is to start training your mind to do things in blocks. So let's say, as an example, you decided Monday to Friday or Saturday for half an hour, you're concentrating on just one specific aspect of your business. And in this case, let's say it is marketing, which is separate from selling. Let's say it's marketing. This means reaching out, letting people know about your products, inviting them in for a conversation. That is marketing. So for 30 minutes, you set on your timer, you sit down and you go through your work. At the end of 30 minutes, regardless of whether you've succeeded or not, it doesn't matter what you've done, you close up shop and you move on to the next thing. And you remind yourself that tomorrow you'll be back at it. Okay, so that's one aspect. So the reason we do this is so that Our minds can know which mode to go into with any specific function. Marketing, you're going to need to be creative. You're going to need to be curious. You're going to need to be an extrovert. You're going to have to reach out to people, make connections, set yourself up with opportunities such as this. I mean, this is an opportunity for me to present value, but it is a function of marketing. And so you're going to be using that time to look at, where are my people? Who can give me the most amount of money in the least amount of time? This is part of automation. You know, if you can make $1,000 selling $1 products, you're going to use that same energy for selling to sell to one person for $1,000. So it's up to you to decide, which way do I want to go with this? I say go for the one person for $1,000, because then you're just going to really specifically look for about 10 people to talk to, and at least one of them is going to buy a $1,000 product. Now, if you do this and you say that I have these time slots, it's going to take a lot of the anxiety and overwhelm that you feel out of the picture. And what I mean by this is that anytime you're looking at yourself and you're thinking, I'm not making any money, people are not coming in, I'm wasting my time, you will have something mentally that will play a picture for you that will say, okay, but remember, we spent half an hour this morning looking for work. You know, we have it in our calendar that we have blocks of time that are going to be specific to looking for work. Now, I just need to know yes or no. Does anyone do this currently? Anyone do this currently? Okay, okay. And thank you for your honesty. Now, the reason I want you to really share with me and not just watch is because you need to get out of this. You need to get as much as you can out of this. My purpose here today is for you to move into your next step better than you were before, whatever it is. And we need your engagement here with me. You need to let me know what you have been doing, not so that I can know which direction to move in here. As you can see, I
So,
don't play.
yeah, we got not really, no, yes, sometimes, not consistently, sometimes, yes, occasionally.
And that really is the bulk of the answers that I typically get. And to be honest with you, it took me, yeah, quite a few years to master this. And the thing that actually got me to master this was in writing fiction. Because in writing fiction, you know, your book will never be finished if you sit down and say, oh, I'm just waiting for inspiration. I had to sit down and put blocks for myself and say, you're not getting out until you're done 1,666 words. Because at the end of 30 days, it's a 50,000 word book. So you see how this works. So we want to get out of this occasionally, yes, no, so that we can have this consistently. Now, why am I doing this? Because I always tell entrepreneurs these two things. If you want to know why you are where you are in your life and your business, take a look at your bank account and take a look at your calendar over the last 3 months. That is going to tell you the truth of what you've been doing or not doing. So if you look at your bank account and you look at your calendar, especially your calendar, and you don't see that you have placed in good quantity chunks of very specific activities, then it's no wonder that you don't have people to speak with. It's no wonder you have no one to sell to or anyone to invest in your company. It's because you're doing things inconsistently. 1 week you're on fire, the next 3 weeks you're on vacation. Then the following month shows up and then you wonder why you're broke or why you're not making any movement. Does this make any sense? Let me know.
Absolutely makes sense.
Okay,
Yes.
so the first thing that we're going to do here is let's agree. We all have half an hour a day that we can dedicate to a business to the very specific function of marketing. Can we agree to that? Can we all say yes, that is very possible?
Agreed. I totally agree. Yep.
Okay, it is possible, isn't it? To actually do that. So what times of days are best? Now I mentioned 9 a.m., say Tuesday to Saturday. The reason I said that is because I discovered for myself and for a lot of different people that Monday actually doesn't work as a fire day. You know, the way everybody gets ready for the beginning of the week, and then on Monday you're supposed to sit down and pick up the phone at like 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning to talk to someone. Yeah, people don't do that. They don't do that. You're going to go make your coffee, clean the kitchen while you're at it, you know, do anything and everything else other than that. So one of the things that I suggest is using your Monday or any other day of the week that works for you, but using your Monday to block it off to work on your business. And again, this is using different skill sets for different parts of your business. So on Monday is where you literally will sit down and with your half hour block. We start with half hour blocks, and as you keep going, you increase them. So this is how you increase them. You take a half hour block to work on what you're working on, take a break for 5 minutes, and you got to set timers for this. As soon as 5 minutes is up, you set your next half hour block. So why are we doing this way? It's because you want to have concentrated energy, and you also want to train your brain to rest when it's time to rest. A lot of people will get in and start working, and they get into flow and they keep working. But what happens is they expend their energy, and by the end of the day, they feel done. And because they're done, they're not going to do anything else. They're not going to do anything else on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday, or Sunday. And they're going to feel that they're done. Except when they look at their calendar the following week, they'll notice that they only did one day of work, and that's why they're not getting any clients. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what we want is to use the Mondays to figure out what is needed for the rest of the week, and also as an opportunity to see what was done the previous week. So, this is not a judgment day. It's supposed to be fun. This is when you actually sit down, look at your calendar and say, okay, so, last week I went for 3 virtual events, and out of that, I got 5 good leads. And out of those 5 leads, I got 2 awesome contacts, and 1 is a client. Or last week, I only went for 1 virtual event. Life happened, nothing else happened. I had a conversation with someone for an hour, nothing happened out of that. So it's to look for it and say, what do I need? I need to talk to 10 more people in these industries. So you just write down what you need. This is on Monday. Are you all with me? So you write what you need, what you need to focus on for the next week. And you say, this is what I'm going to do. So how will I get, this is where you work out the different parts of your business. So that takes care of the marketing. What about selling? You're like, okay, I'm going to put all my sales conversations on Thursday. And I'm going to make sure that I get as many people that I can to speak with me on Thursday and Tuesday. Now, why do we set up blocks like these? It's so that you don't take sales calls anytime. I know this is different because a lot of people will say, always be on your phone or always be ready to take a sales call. Taking a sales call is a skill set. The skill set that you need for marketing is not the same skill set that you need for sales. It's not the same skill set that you need for operations. It's definitely not the same skill set for your books and records. Have I lost you? Are you with me? You'll also let me know, Craig. Do you agree
Yeah,
with me?
I agree with you. I think I have a problem switching gears, is what I call it.
Absolutely. And it's because of how the mind works. So what I try and do is figure out how can we make things work in accordance with flow? How do our minds work? Let's work that way. Instead of trying to make our minds do something that they're just not built to do, and you're here trying to create something out of nothing. That's already hard work. Don't you agree? So if you decide on Monday, this is the day, actually, can we just all decide, is it possible for everyone here who's watching today to decide that Monday is the day when you sit down and you figure out what happened last week? Where do we need to move forward the following week so that we can reach our goals for the month? Is this something that we can all do?
I don't know if Monday's my day, but I will pick a day.
All right. So what's up with Monday for you?
I just have to look at I'm a unique individual with my work and I have to communicate with people when they're available.
Is that true?
Yes.
Now, is it possible that you can set up a system so that they communicate with you when you're available?
What I'm saying is Friday is probably a better day for me to plan is because the people I need to talk to are usually away or busy or don't want to, so they're happily leave me alone on Friday.
Sweet. Sweet. So Friday is your day. Okay. So that's it. Just pick it. So I see here, try for Sunday, we'll try Monday. Okay. Try for Sunday, but we'll try Monday. Okay. So just not picking on you, Robert, but I'd really like to dive into this. You say, I try for Sunday, but we'll try Monday. It sounds like even one of those days probably won't work for you. You see, the way Craig answered this question is that he knew specifically what day would work for him. So, I'm saying Monday because Monday is really a great day if you're not the kind of person who honestly will get up on Monday morning and work. If you know that's not in your spirit, that's not who you are, make Monday the day that you will take care of everything. Okay, Sunday was catch-up day. That's awesome. Yes, I also use Sunday nights and Monday mornings. And I do that because this is the opportunity to put on that CEO hat, zoom out of your situation and look over everything with a very non-judgmental eye. Okay, it makes no sense to judge yourself when it comes to your business. You have to remember a couple of things. You're doing something that you've never done before or something different. You're walking into COVID times where a lot of things that were known are unknown. You have to pivot a lot of the times because people are in a different place and shape, and you yourself are changing because your life is also going on. So it's really clearly identifying what are your best hours to work. And that's the other thing. Some of you have no choice. You have children, you have other obligations, so you have very specific times that you have to work. For those of you who have more leniency in that area, you got to really be frank with yourself. Am I a morning person, afternoon person, or evening person? You sound like a morning person, Craig. There's some times at like 7 in the morning you've texted me, or we've been texting back when I was doing the live events.
Yeah, I'm a morning person, and I have the habit of texting people, and I'm like, "Oh shit, it's only 5:30," because I've been up for a couple hours. I'm like, "Oh, I'll do this and I'll do that," because I've been like, I get you reach flow. But is there a reason why we'd want to do it, say, on a weekday rather than a weekend? Is there, because I see some Sundays here, and I know you're focused on Monday. Is that because maybe we need rest on the weekend? I'm just wanted to know if there was a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in addition to automating our behaviors, we also want to do something a little bit beyond this. Your business is consuming, it really is all you think about, but you need to have a life beyond that. And that's what's going to cushion you the days and times when nothing is working. You know, when you look at business successes, all you see is just the person who's climbing. So I have a lot of people who watch me and all they see is just what they see on social media or just whenever I'm interacting, and all they see is just this upward trajectory. But that's not the reality of life. The reality of life is some days you win, some days you lose. Some days you've got nothing, some days you're knocked down your feet, some days you're cut down, some days you're bleeding on the ground. Well, what is going to hold you in those moments? What's going to give you the drive to get up the next day and do it again? Right? If all your time and everything that you're doing in your mind is just dedicated to your work, then the message that you're sending your mind is that this is all it is. This is all it is. If this falls, if this fails, I'm doomed. And that's where we get into those cycles of depression and overwhelm and anxiety where like everything is like pitted on the financial success of your company. If you give yourself very specific days and chunks to work, then it forces you to accomplish your goals within those timelines. What this means is that you're not thinking to yourself, oh, I have today until Sunday to figure this out. Or I have, oh, I don't feel like working today, so I'm going to do this on Sunday instead. No, it's training your mind like, listen, the only time I have to do sales is 2 hours, Thursday and Friday. That's how I set it up. That's all it is. And what this allows you to do is when you clock out, whatever your dates are. So for me, clocking out was Saturday night, because I prefer to have my Sundays and Mondays off. That was worked best for me. I prefer to have my Sundays and Mondays off, which means that by the end of Saturday night, when I clocked out, I'm good. And I know that looking, when we would go back to my calendar on Sunday night, I would know that this is what I have set up for the coming week. And here are the gaps that I can fill. If you're not looking at 3 to 4 networking events a week, then you know that you need to put those chunks in. And that's the thing about automating behaviors and habits, is letting yourself know this is what we need to do. So in marketing, you need about 3 to 4 networking events that you can attend. And now with the internet, you absolutely have no excuse. Back in the day, it made sense that, you needed transportation, you didn't know where to go. Are you kidding me? You have no excuse. Right now, I am in networking groups in the United States of America. Why? Because it's all virtual. I have the opportunity to reach people that I never could have before. So this is what I'm saying, is that if you look at what must be done, so in marketing, it's you need to go out and speak with people, let them know what you're doing, connect with people who have access to things. If you're really great friends with Craig and you have something of value, speak with him and see if he can maybe put you on.
Of course.
Such things, people like me who put on events and whatnot. If I look out and I like you, you know that I'm going to call you. But the thing is, we get these opportunities because we put ourselves out there. And the only way to do that is to consistently decide, okay, so I have 3 to 4 marketing events that I'm going to go for within my industry, people that I want to connect with. And when you're doing that, you're looking for very specific types of people. Again, this is automating. So you automate your marketing to look for people who are partners. That is, people who can connect you with the people that you're looking for. You do your marketing to look for clients. This one is harder because everybody goes to these events looking to sell. So you want to make sure that you go into a place where you are probably in a position of providing value. So what this means is that do a seminar, do a function, all of you in these different areas, the e-commerce, the real estate, it doesn't matter what area you're in, you have value, you have valuable information. Figure out a way to get on stages or to get in front of the people that you're interested in and provide that value to them. And the other thing that you're going to be doing with your marketing is letting people know exactly what you're looking for. And this is branding. Now that's automated. You're also going to automate your sales. And what you're doing with that is you're letting yourself know that, on these days and these times, I'm specifically working on getting these people to sign up. Don't take it personally. Now, the beauty about automation is that you don't get attached to results. A lot of times what happens is that people get on a sales call and it doesn't go well or it goes well. And then again, mentally, they tell themselves, that's it, I'm done. We're there. But if you give yourself time blocks specific to sales, then what you're telling yourself is these treasured times are the times that I'm going to sit down, call people, chat with people. It doesn't matter how I feel or what's going on for this half hour, then 5-minute break. And then the next half hour, I'm working on my sales alone. And then you have other blocks of time to deal with operations, looking at your website, seeing whether your freebie is still working, whether you're still building your email list, and also whether you can now make your videos while you're at it. So time chunks again for those sorts of things. Record all your videos, write all your blog posts, all your marketing materials, and then schedule them so that they go out. I'll give you an example. If you look at my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube, my LinkedIn, and several other platforms, there's always something out there every day. There's always something out there every day. Emails, but a lot of the times I'm not there. I'm not doing anything. This was all stuff that I did in my chunks of time. Chunks of time really, really work out. Let me know so far if what I'm saying is making sense or is of use to you.
It's definitely making sense to me.
So tell me, when did you start doing the time chunk thing? Was it something that you always did, or did you stumble upon it, or did someone teach it to you?
If you're asking me, I haven't really done it too much. I do it a little bit when I'm just blocking my calendar, and it's more of a corporate blocking your calendar. I used to be a project manager, project director, and I had 100 different things going on, so I'd block chunks of time to work on different things. And so I still have that somewhat as a habit. It's just really rusty.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, but when we need it, we do it. Like when we work for different places and whatnot, we do it. When something needs to be done, we do it. I find that entrepreneurship or our businesses are sort of like the open sea. And a lot of times we leave habits and behaviors behind that we could have carried forward with us that make life easier. The reason for all this, to be honest with you, is so that you can have better use of your time, so that you can see where you're efficient, not efficient, and where you can really optimize and capitalize on where the money's coming in. At the end of the day, I don't want you to be steamed out. I don't want you to feel like you've been working hard and you're not seeing anything. The best way to gauge your results and to see what's working and what's not is to use time blocks, because this is where you actually factually can go in and say, okay, so last week I spent 5 hours on sales calls. I talked with 4 people. 2 of those people were no, one was a maybe, one was a yes. Then you even know what your closing ratio is. You see, this is where you get your data from. With information, then you know what you're going to automate or not. Then you can look at where you're getting your clients. And it doesn't matter how you're getting them, but you can look at them and say, this is where I'm getting my clients. And this is where I'm getting the clients that I want. Let's automate that. Let's automate that. Now, how do we do that? Let's use the time blocks and then the different software that we have. This is to give you, what it does is it frees up your energy so that you can deal with all the other things that will come in left side, including COVID. If you know that you have these commitments that you've made for the different aspects of your business, it allows for you to breathe easier and know that you can deal with anything else that's coming through. So, maybe you have your time block for Thursday, 9 a.m. to work on sales calls, and you get this panicky message at 8:45 from a relative. Well, you train your mind to actually go to work for that 9 to 9:30, because that's a time block that you promised yourself. And then you can respond to that 8:45 call at 9:30. You see how this works?
Yeah.
Being proactive and not reactive, which is why we end up in overwhelm and we're unable to pivot when we need to. Is because we react to the calls coming in, we react to the emails coming in. You can also time block your emails. You can decide that, 6 a.m. or whatever time it is that you wake up, you're giving yourself 10 minutes. And for emails, you actually need no more than 5 minutes. It's interesting, but I've done several experiments with this. If you give yourself time limits to the things that you do, you end up being highly effective. If you sit down and say, I'm going to check emails, you'll find yourself in there for 10 minutes. And let's be honest, you ended up opening 10 other tabs and looked at browsers for other things that were totally unrelated. However, if you know you only have 5 minutes in the morning to check your email and the next time you're checking is in the afternoon, then you're going to make sure that you use those 5 minutes to look at your emails, respond immediately, or again, we're using the delegation practice of snoozing or sending it off to someone else. But the idea here is making decisions. A lot of people, Craig, they take what could be a simple decision and they turn it into a project. So instead of actually dealing with it right away, what they do is they keep it for another day, right? And then at the end of the week, they're exhausted and then they're wondering why they haven't gotten anything done. So part of this is automating how you think. And I hope you really get the crux of this, is that time blocks is an amazing thing, but really what we want to do is automate how you think. Automate how you think. What are your best times for working? Is it morning, afternoon, evening? And then what are your best times for working with your clients? For me, honestly, I'm not an early bird. I'm not that person. I'm a nocturnal person. But I've had to shift myself because my clients are not up at 3 in the morning. Nobody's responding to my email at 4. So I've had to shift myself to align myself with that. And I understand that a lot of you will have to do that. If you're in real estate, you're not showing a house at 10 p.m. So in order to do that, what I've done is I do a lot of my thinking and I do a lot of my planning during my creative hours. And that would be very early in the morning or late at night, nocturnal. That's when I'm most in creative flow. And then for my sales calls, I actually prefer to do them in the afternoon or the evening. And so that's what I schedule them for. And you can do that using different software. Like if you have, and this is something that I encourage people to do, is use software. So use a scheduling software. Do this so that, again, you're not at the mercy of people calling you whenever they feel like, or, you're giving them links that they can book based on the times that you set aside. So I do my sales calls in the afternoons and the evenings because that's when I'm actually in a better position to go into sales mode. I do all my fulfillment, and fulfillment for you will be the delivering of your products and services. I do that in the morning. It's a different kind of energy that's required. It's service, and it puts me into the mode of, okay, this is I'm giving, right? So this is a wonderful space to be, and it leads into the afternoon where I can now deal with sales. So does any one of you have something that works with that, or do you prefer doing sales in the morning, or sales in the afternoon, or sales in the evening? What are some of your thoughts on this?
I don't like doing sales.
Yeah, period.
Yeah, that just I do not like them, Sam. I am. I do not like them with my ham, I guess. But I think, having said that, if I said, Thursday morning or a period of time, this is when I'm doing it, I could mentally understand that I have 4 hours a week where I am making these sales calls, or I'm doing doing my hot leads, or whatever that thing is. And the rest of the time I'm doing other things, So I could get behind that.
Yes. And again, this is why it works, because sales is interesting. Most people fell into sales by default. Sales is one of those default jobs. It's kind of like a customer service job. You just find yourself. I'm one of the people who fell into sales. We moved to Canada when I was 17. I was coming from Kenya, where you technically did not work until you were 18. And, as soon as we moved here, it was like, okay, you need a part-time job. I'm like, a who? And what am I supposed to do exactly? So guess what? I found myself in sales. I found myself in door-to-door sales.
And I hear that is the best training ever.
Woo! it is definitely after that, yeah, you can sell anything. And it was my first winter, and there I was knocking on doors. So people fall into sales. A lot of people don't like sales because of their experience with it. A lot of times we have to reframe sales for ourselves because we've had negative experiences with it. People who sold to us, or even you having to sell something you don't really believe in, right? It's like I work for different companies, and when I think back to why I had so much trouble, it's because I was selling what I didn't really believe in or want. Actually, I was there for the money. Now, if you find yourself kind of like in this spot with your business, we need to look at a few things. You have to sell because that's the engine, that's the oil, that's what's going to keep your business running. Now, nobody likes to cold call, or there are very few people on earth who enjoy that. And I believe they're a special breed. But for most of you, that's not really what you're into. That's not really why you got into what you're getting into. You want to give it, but if there's a way that you could put your stuff up there, people just pay you, you would be in paradise. However, that's not the case. This is where time blocking is going to help you. Because exactly as Craig said, if you know you have a set amount of hours a week in order to sell, and that the rest of the time you can book it for everything else that you love, well, then you're going to start looking forward to that block of time. Yes, in the beginning, it's going to be hard, but you're going to start looking forward to that block of time. And you can give it your all because you know it has a start and an end time. And then moving forward, when you're speaking with people, you can book them for appointments based on your available time. So, even in the world of sales, what would be best for you? For some people, it's get up and let's just start selling, because for them, it's like that's the path of least resistance. So you got to figure out what's your path of least resistance when it comes to sales. When are you most likely to sell? Is it after you go to a networking drink and have a drink or two? Well, then maybe sign up for more of those, right? Like look for the path of least resistance. What is it that will work best for you, and then automate that. Now, how do you automate it? It's through repetition. Anything that I'm saying today is not going to work if you don't decide to do it for a while. And understand for the first month, 2 months, maybe even 3, it's going to be difficult because you're training your mind to do something that it doesn't want to do, has never done before, doesn't care to do, doesn't see the point. But you want to get into that mode of doing things in time blocks so that you save yourself time, money, stress. You have a better handle of what's going on in your life. You are more proactive rather than reactive, and you're in a better position to plan for your future because you can see exactly what's coming in, how it's coming in, and exactly how you make it. I've spoken with people who make a ton of money, close to $1 million a year. And when I ask them where their people come from, they say they don't know. They don't know. The danger with that is this. What happens when business dries up? What happens if business dries up? Do you know where to go to get more? And that's why time blocking helps, because it gives you specific data that you can use. You can look at it and decide, okay, this makes sense. I made the most money this month because when I look at my calendar, I can see that I did these specific activities. Well, then what it tells you is that you're going to take those top activities and you're going to use them for the following month. This is how you lean out. What is it that gave me my results? And you're going to use actual factual data. You're not going to use your imagination to say, well, I think it's because I went and I did this and that. No, you're going to actually look at what worked, connect the dots, take that, and then focus on that alone and automate it. Does this make sense?
Absolutely.
Nice. I love questions. Can I have them?
Yeah, so I just put a call out in the chat window there. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat window, put them in the Q&A window so we can get to them. Um, so I'll have a couple of questions. First of all, what tools do you recommend for doing this?
Your Google Calendar.
Okay.
And I use Calendly. So whatever platform that you want to use. Now, this is the thing. I don't advocate paying for software until you've experimented with it long enough to know that it's for you. The reason why I like Calendly, and I'm sure all the other scheduling systems do this, is so on your scheduling system, whichever you decide to use, you can use Calendly to just try it out if you've never used the scheduling system before. Calendly is calendly.com. I'll just put the link up there for you.
Perfect.
You want to use the free version. What I like about this is that you attach it to your regular calendar. So whatever times are available, once someone signs up, it shows up on your calendar and it books that time off. So I want you to use a calendar any one of them, so that you can set for yourself the hours you have available for the different things. So I have a different link for people that I just want to get to know. And again, don't give more than 15, half an hour, 15 minutes, half an hour. A lot of times people will put in time blocks for 45 minutes, an hour 15. Such a waste of time. Again, the mind works efficiently if it knows that it has a set time to achieve a specific goal. Within 30 minutes, actually within the first quarter of 30 minutes, you already know whether that conversation is going somewhere or not. And it's not to say that if that's not a potential person to work with, that you start to be rude or not to be there. It means that you be there and you make sure that you give your very best, but that it's done in half an hour so that you can move on. So for your time blocks on your Calendly, I say no more than 30 minutes. Set it for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. If you're someone who likes to talk a lot and this is something that you really enjoyed, I want you to have a hard look in the mirror and ask yourself if that's brought you business. If the answer is no, then you got to ditch that. You know, like just think about it in terms of efficiency. If you want to like, I have some clients who are like, they enjoy speaking with people for long periods of time, so they'll speak with people for maybe an hour, 2 hours. The thing about that is once you're done with that, it's very hard to go back to work. It's very hard to go back to the next time block of activities that you want to do. It's also draining. How about if you work within the time blocks, you respect the time blocks, and then if you have any other time outside of that, that's when you can schedule those types of things. So a calendar, your Google, these are all free. At most they're like $6, and that would be for your Google, you know. So get yourself a calendar link that you're going to use for that. As well, make sure that, you know, for your different web pages, you have shortened links to them. So, you know, if you have something of value that you can give to someone, make sure you have a shortened link for it. And I use bit.ly for that, bit.ly. And again, you can use the free version of bit.ly and set up your links. So I'll give you an example of one of my free links. And this would be, if you wanted to speak with me, this is what it is. bit.ly Success Smarts. You see how simple this is? And then depending on who you're speaking with and about what, you can give them the shortened links. Again, this is automation. This is so that you're not wasting time, so that you don't have to send emails back and forth or anything like that. You're also respecting someone else's time. So I'd say get a bit.ly, Calendly, or any other scheduling link, and make sure that you are at one with a calendar on your phone. Look at your calendar on your phone. It's time to use it. Even setting aside time for your meditation, it doesn't matter what that is. Another thing that I use is Zapier, Zapier.
Oh yeah.
Zapier is amazing because it connects different software with each other. And as an example, I'll tell you as an example, if you sign up to speak with me, so that goes on the Calendly, then what it does is it shows up on my phone and it books off that time, meaning that time is just scheduled for that call. But Zapier will send that information to MailChimp, which is what I use for my email. And at the same time, I also use Zapier to send that same information to HubSpot, which is my CRM. And that's the client relationship management program that I use. So you see, with that one action where I am nowhere near there, someone has scheduled a call with me and they've ended up in all the different places that I need them to be without me doing any extra work. That is the power of automation. So again, you can try Zapier. It's an amazing, amazing tool that you can use so that you can link up all the different aspects of the software that you use and make it work for you. Those are some of the key ones, definitely, that I would say jump on.
Yeah, Zapier is like if this then that on steroids.
And it's amazing. You know what? They're amazing. Can't say enough about them.
Yeah, and I use Calendly, Google Calendar. I'll also use a tool called OmniFocus, but that's for, you know, different things.
What does
Um,
OmniFocus do?
it's a task manager, but because I did project management for so long, there's a lot of tools that I don't like. Because when you get to using a certain way and you think a certain way when you're planning stuff out, and I use OmniFocus for that, which is it's not inexpensive, but it's a tool I like to use. We had another question here from the audience before. Do you have a coaching package for time blocking?
I love it. The time blocking is an aspect of my coaching elements. So my idea is to, it's called holistic, so that again, you are efficient in your business and also get to enjoy your life. So this is an aspect of the time blocking. So I don't have a time block coaching package aside from it. What I've done is I've just taken an element of what I coach and brought it to the table today. Because especially in this day and time, it's something that I really need us to focus on during this COVID time. You know, it's easy to just really get caught up with what's happening around the world. And what I ask you to do is, before you look at the news, before you know, go look at what people are doing or saying, ask yourself, could I be using this half hour to reach out to 10 people right now? You know, get yourself into that frame of mind of, could I be using this half hour to follow up with the people who said no to me last year? And if you've been using your calendar, right, and your phone, then what you can do is you can always go back and look at all the appointments that you had, all the people that you spoke with, and then follow up with them. Or you can look at your phone and look at all the text messages, the emails that were sent, and see who you can follow up with. That's a better use of your half hour. Because in this day and time, a lot of people are not going to grow their businesses and they're going to blame it on COVID. Now, there are some instances where 100% COVID is shutting down businesses, absolutely. However, if you can use the internet and you have your brain and you have your mind and you're hungry, you can pivot. You can figure out a way to do what you need to do. Put those time blocks in, start training your mind so that you can have this automated for you.
So as a business owner, I load up my Google Calendar and I say, all right, I'm going to set up my time blocks for a week, and I pull out my week and it's blank. And one, that's it's like staring at a blank piece of paper. Where do I start? And two, if I start the wrong way, won't it just fill up with random junk?
I know. Yeah, that's the other thing. So
So
this,
how do I avoid that?
yeah, perfect. I really love your question. So this is how we start. You actually look at your year calendar. So for us, for our purposes, we're going to be looking at October, November, December. So I want you to look at those 3 months, and then immediately you book off the days that you know for a fact you're not going to work. So for example, some of you are not working on Thanksgiving. If it's a Monday, book that off. So immediately book off the times that you're not going to work because of birthdays or some celebrations, holidays, doesn't matter. And then decide for yourself when your vacation days are. You're going to decide that, looking at October, November, December, and you're going to book those times off in your calendar. So you might say, you know, from the 24th to the 27th, I'm not working, book that time off. 31st to the 2nd, I'm not working, book that time off. We book those times off. And then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to look at what your available working days are. Okay, because we've booked off days that you know for sure you're not going to be available. If you have any dentist appointments, anything like that, book those times off. Look at what your available days are for working, and then look at your goal. What was your financial goal? How much were we to make, you know, by the end of the year? How much would you like to make by the end of the year? Over the 3 months, how much would you like to make? And understand that those available days are the days that are available to work for that money goal. Next, how many customers do you need to fulfill that money goal? How many customers do you need to fulfill that money goal? So you do the math. So based on the number of customers that you need to fulfill the money goal, you're going to look at your available days for working and understand that those are the days and times that you have available to get those number of clients. So after that, you can go and decide the best days for thinking things out, the best days for looking at what you did before, what you're going to be doing for the next year, and book that out. That's working on your business. Book it out. So for me, it would be like a Monday. Someone else, it's a Friday. Someone else, it's Sunday. Book that out, right? For those hours. And when you're booking out for hours, don't book out whole days, because again, you're going to waste your time. You're booking a couple of hours, because again, you don't want to start creating projects. You want to make decisions. You want to just quickly look at what you did before, look at what's working, look at what's ahead, look at what you need to do. And it's this simple. If you look at the fact that you need to bring in 10 new clients in October, let's say, and you've given yourself 20 working days, then you know that you need to bring in an average of one client every 2 days, correct? So then the question is, how do you get these clients? So that's when you look at your days and you say, well, I'm going for 3 to 4 networking events. And then out of those, you write down your objectives. What am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for a partner. I'm looking for an opportunity to showcase my expertise. I'm looking for a client. Okay, so then you look at the events that you've lined up and see whether it falls through. How many more do you need? Next, how many calls do you have lined up? If you have none, then this is where you look at a time block that you're going to put in place so that you can say 30 minutes, I'm going to go and mine LinkedIn. For another 30 minutes, I'm going to go and mine Facebook. Another 30 minutes, I'm going to go and mine Instagram, or whatever it is that you find your people. And you book those times in, right? So again, it's looking at your money goal, dividing it by how many customers you need to bring in. And remember what I said at the very beginning. I said, go for your highest value. Again, it's the difference between going for 1,000 people who will pay a buck and going for one person who will pay $1,000. So what is going to be a better use of time here for you? So you look at that and calculate how many customers. Okay, this is my available time. Well, what do I need to get those customers? I'm going to need to speak with X amount of people. How do I get those X amount of people? Well, let's make sure that our calendar is filled with 3 to 4 networking events, or this is good. Next week, I'm speaking with 3 people. There's a likelihood one of them will buy. Let's just see if we can get 2 more appointments to add on to that. And that's how your blocks start to fill up, because you're dealing with a very specific goal. And it's that goal that's going to then decide for you what needs to be done. And that's now your responsibility to create the time blocks for them.
So we do have a question here. I'm not sure if you're able to answer it. For marketing time blocks, would you suggest LinkedIn and Facebook to seek out your potential clients?
100% yes. Where do you think people are? Where do you think people are? And this is how it's always been. You know, even when I remember the days of working for corporations and whatnot, when people were looking at their phones or during breaks, where do you think they are? They're on social media.
And he's in the construction and food production industry. Sorry, I had to scroll back to the top of the chat room to put the
Yes.
two together.
Okay, could you be a little bit more specific with the food and
Uh,
what are we looking at here?
Construction and food production industry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
you can
don't
give
I
me a
don't
little
have
bit more
more right
detail,
now. Okay.
because I believe your people would be on. So this is the thing about
Yeah,
LinkedIn,
everybody's on Facebook.
and,
Okay.
and even those who are not, and there are a lot of people who don't use Facebook for business. So this is what I've discovered. When I have the reason why I have a profile on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and those are to be honest with you, I focus on Facebook and LinkedIn. And how I've set up my Instagram and YouTube is that, again, it's automated. Things feed into them, or my email. And the reason why I have these different profiles is so that people get different sides of me. We're now in an era where people will really use the internet to do their research before they contact you. So on LinkedIn, you're going to get that a little bit more serious side of me. On Facebook, you're going to get a bit more of that humanitarian side of me, but it gives you the impression that you get a well-rounded version of me. I find that on LinkedIn, it's best to, it works for making partners and for opportunities. And I find that Facebook is amazing for becoming, for really creating strong connections with the people that you want to work with. Because it, you know, everybody, when people approach you, especially online, they kind of can smell that you want to sell something. Or you want to give them something that they call value, but to you, you're like, you're wasting my time. I don't know who you are. Get out of here, right? So what you want to do is you want to create a sense of connection. And so using the different platforms will help you do that. It does take a bit of work, but you can do that. So started out on my own in construction, project manager, food production industry, planning construction stages, both as startups. Okay. So let me ask you, what's your end goal here? Because that's really what matters. Your end goal is what's going to determine what your marketing methods are. I mean, would you agree, Craig?
Absolutely. I think no, when you're uh, who is your buyer, what your end goal is, awareness, where you are in the sales cycle. I try to use all these platforms. I'm not a big fan of Facebook anymore. I don't like it just as a platform. They make so many changes. But doesn't mean everyone's not there. I still use it. We have a lot of followers. We are live on Facebook because We have a lot of followers there, and we don't not approved for LinkedIn Live yet. Hopefully, we will be soon. Um, his goal is to reach out to as much customers,
Yeah, so
but you do need to build connection. Go ahead.
absolutely.
Sorry.
Now, when you say reach out to as many customers, I'll tell you like there's several problems that you're probably experiencing. You probably have a lack of those customers. You probably don't know where those customers are, and you don't know what they're looking for. Am I correct?
I would think so.
You gotta be specific. No, one of the examples that I like to give is this. In 2016, I was featured on Forbes. I wrote several articles for them and I was featured by them. Now, why did I do that? It's because one of the psychological needs of my clients is prestige. And also, a little bit of insight into my clients, they are readers. They are readers. I do videos because videos is what's kicking ass right now, to be honest. But I'm a reader. I'll read before I watch. And my people are readers. They're also intellectual, they're also studious, they're those kinds of people. So being featured in Forbes is something that would highly appeal to them. And that's why I did it, right? So the end goal wasn't just to be featured on Forbes for the sake of being featured on Forbes. It was that I was going to get the exact type of customer that I wanted. So when we say you want to reach out to as many customers as possible, let's like really just get specific. How much money do you want to make? And how many customers of those do you need to make that amount of money?
Reach a specific target location. Food mostly distributed groceries, also open to local customers. He hasn't really answered that question. He's just answering your last one.
Okay, and I get it. But this is also for everyone. You got to just be
Absolutely.
really specific. Now, if you're thinking, I don't know how much money I want to make, and then you come up with something from the air, that's not really going to work. What you need to look at is, well, what are your expenses? What are your business expenses? And if you don't know, then look over the last 3 months or the last year and take that average. Everything that you spent toward your business, even hydro, I mean, it takes the internet and it takes electricity to watch this, so you got to count that in. Even if you haven't exactly spent any kind of money, you have to count that in. So how much a thing's going to cost you, get that figure, right? And understand that that's the least amount of money that you need to bring in to break even. And then on top of that, calculate how much do you need to survive. And again, if you don't know, look at your last 3 months, take the average, or look at the last 1 year, take the average, and then add that figure on and make that your income goal. Make that your income goal. Your business expenses plus your personal expenses. Make that your income goal. And this is for those of you who have absolutely no idea where to start with this. So take that amount of money and divide it by the number of customers. I mean, by the value of what you're selling. So how many customers does that give you? Now, based on the number of customers that you need to reach to hit your goal, you're then going to look at where are they. If you have no idea where to start, well, this is where you start automating reaching out, and just have like 30-minute sessions that you book every day. And the only primary function is to reach out, not to reach out to sell, but to reach out to make connections, to learn. One thing that I advise people to do is look out for people who are already doing things in the space that you're in or want to get into, and be helpful to them. I mean, that's how I got myself into a lot of different circles. Is I didn't come off the bat saying, hey, I can do this and that for you. You don't know me. Why would you pay me? But what I would do is I would look and say, I see you're trying to do this and you're trying to do that. I'd love to help you with this or that, and see where you can come in and help, so that you can start to bring in that trust factor. And the more they get to know you, the more they get to like you, the more that you're going to start building that connection, that you're going to see those opportunities open up for you. You got to play the long game. So if right now you're starting off with nothing, then don't expect that you're going to make that money all of a sudden if you know nobody. Instead, think about it in terms of, over the next 1 month, 2 months, I'm going to work on really getting close to these 10 people. And you're going to identify the people who are going to help you achieve your goal. So all of this means you have to be really specific. This is taking hard knock looks, right? And getting really real. Not saying I want a successful business that brings in money. I just want to have enough. What does that mean? What does that mean? How much do you need to bring in? How many customers will that be? Okay, who has access to these customers? Who do you know who can help you connect to them? Start connecting. Start connecting. Put in those blocks in your calendar so that mentally you are prepared to do the work. So that when you look back in a month or 2 months or 3 months, you can see what you've been building on. Is this helpful?
I think it's really helpful. And we had a question here about any tips on building connections. And I'm just going to do a couple quickly here, on LinkedIn before I hand it back to Julia. Uh, don't sell right away. Reach out. If you're reaching out to me, for example, say, I really liked your webinar, or was this, all of a sudden I'll connect with you. If you just say, hey, I'm this, I think you're trying to sell me something. So, you're building connection. I liked your article. I read this, or comment on their stuff. I mean, you're in the food industry. Talk about, post stuff on the news, or in the construction, depending on if there's big projects going on. Post feedback. Post, your reviews, positive or negative or constructive, so that you're in those fields and in those groups, and people understand who you are before you reach out to them. Julia?
That's it. 100. You named it. Like play the long game. Nobody likes to be sold to, but people like to buy. There's a difference. No one likes to be sold to, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what you do is, again, you play the long game. If like, so as an example, when I started out, I started out 2014. So I was working for the Canadian federal government, CRA to be precise, Canada Revenue Agency. And I was an introvert who was in a cubicle, who was used to that top down hierarchy of work, which does not exist in entrepreneurship. So if you're coming in waiting on instructions and for someone to tell you what to do, good luck.
Yeah.
So this was me coming out, right? And deciding that this is what I wanted to do. Well, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know a single soul, nothing. What was I going to do? And within a year, I had already got myself into the game. So this is what I did. I went and I became interested in the people who are interesting to me. People that I wanted to be connected with, people that I wanted to know, people that I wanted to be around. And I went in there, and to be honest with you, I learned the hard way. So the first time that I went in with that old school sales, come in, macho, you got what like be the one in control, tell people what they need and sell it. Obviously didn't work. Nobody knew me, nobody was gonna buy, nobody cared about me. I said, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. This is stupid. And I did. And when I came up this time, it was being interested in people. And it can feel like you're wasting time, especially when you see your bank account is dwindling and you're not getting those customers. A part of you will feel like, why am I wasting my time liking people's comments on Facebook, making comments on LinkedIn? This is not really doing anything for me. And you can also then be driven by desperation and anxiety to really push, right? And that's where you get into those forceful sales. However, if you think about it as a long game, where you're thinking about it as, I'm getting to know you, I'm giving you an opportunity to know me. Take it like any other kind of relationship, where you're not going in with the expectation that you're going to walk out with something. Going with the expectation that you're going to give. You are going to profit from that relationship or your interaction regardless. Just don't hang on to the outcome. Don't look at the outcome. Look at what you're doing on a regular basis. So getting involved with people, commenting, liking, adding your points of view, and don't do it because you have to, but because it's coming out of you. And this happens when you know exactly who you're looking for, and when you have a really good grasp of who your customer base is, because then you know what to say and you know what not to say, and you just be there and you just give and you just interact with people. If you see an opportunity, and that's what happened with me, is that I was interacting with the people that I cared about because they were in my industry and they were doing really good work and I wanted to be a part of that. And yeah, man, I wanted some of their clients. So when when I was interacting with them, opportunities would come up where they were doing something, and then what I would do is then I would then offer what I could do. So like, if someone I was interested in was doing an event and we've been interacting for, 4, 5, 6 months, I was then able to say, hey, are you looking for a speaker on this and that? Because that's what I do. And at that point, it's not like I came out of the blue. They can say, yes, forward me your information. And that's how I ended up getting the people that I ended up with.